Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, you did have your coffee this morning. I missed you. I'm really grateful for all the awesome things that happened last week. I heard that there was a great celebration of the Chinese New Year and it was a lot of fun. So thank you for participating in that fun celebration and allowing me to go to Las Vegas, which I actually was there for a conference. So just I went there. I did, thank you, yes. I always win, though. That's how my life is. It is. It was really interesting. So we went to, some of us from the center, we went to the Centers for Spiritual Living conference, which is the annual meeting. So it's the annual business meeting. But meanwhile, during the annual business meeting, they also hire a whole bunch of phenomenal speakers, the best musicians around, and they just, lift us up to a level that is where we love being, hanging out, It was really an extraordinary time. And it was interesting because Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, which is the community spiritual leader of all of Centers for Spiritual Living, he's the outward-facing, the one who speaks the truth about our centers to the world. He told a story. And he told a story about how he was sitting in a cafe with his wife, and he was sitting there and he saw this person who kind of looked like maybe they're homeless. He's from Canada, so he called him an artisan, because they're very nice in Canada. Yes, that's what he called him. But he obviously was disheveled and looking like he was challenged, and also an older man, so he was kind of having difficulty standing up, and he was like leaning against the door, and Ken was like, I feel this impulse in me to give him my seat because I feel like he should have a seat to sit down in this cafe. And he was hoping that his wife wouldn't mind, but he just went ahead and did it, and he offered this gentleman the seat, and he said the gentleman lit up. He just smiled from ear to ear like he was seen and recognized. And then he said, "You know what? Thank you so much, but I'm doing okay. I thank you so much." And you could see that the whole cafe witnessed this, and the energy and the vibration of the entire place was uplifted. And then the gentleman, actually, he saw an empty chair at another table, so he went over to the table and asked the other gentleman. He said, "Oh, can I take this chair?" And the guy said, "No, I'd rather you not." And you could see everybody have the vibration kind of lowered. And then he said, "Well, can I sit down? I really feel like I need to sit down." And the guy said, "No, I don't want you to sit here." And again, the vibration was lowered. And Ken pointed out that the same essence, the same energy that's in me is in you. That everything is the same thing, the one thing is choosing to be the person who is standing up. The same thing is choosing to be the person who offers the chair. And the same thing is the person who's choosing to deny that person. It's all the one thing, but it's making a different choice in every aspect. And he was pointing out that it was our choices that we make that either raise the vibration of everybody else or lower the vibration of everybody else. And it's not a big thing that we do every day, but it's our choices every day that mean the big things. And so we can choose to uplift where we go, or we can choose to bring the energy down. And it's our choice. And the invitation here is, would you be willing to be one of those people who uplifts in the world? Would you be willing to step into that place and be the voice of love? Create the loving relationship with everybody else. Because we're all in relationship with each other, whether we like it or not. We're in this together, right? The only way to get out is death, by the way. That's it. There's only one way out. And we're all going there at some time. So you might as well enjoy the process in the middle. And that's why we're choosing this month to talk about loving relationships, because it really is the most spiritual thing that we can do, is choose to be loving in our relationships. And that's not always easy. Actually, usually it's our relationships, especially those who we love the most, that we have the most difficulty with, because we're so invested. We want to get along so much, and we want to communicate, and we want to be understood so much. And that's where mostly our challenges arise, because it's so much easier to brush off somebody who says something rude to you that you don't even know. But if somebody whom you love and adore says something rude to you, then it's a harder thing to deal with. So that's why we're studying this book of the month called How to Be an Adult in Relationships. How to Be an Adult in Relationships. And it's by David Rico. And he says, to be an adult in a relationship is not to be conflict-free. It is to resolve conflicts mindfully. And he wrote this book based on Buddhist practices. This book is actually a Buddhist book, but it is using the Buddhist principles in order to really create mindful relationships and to deal with relationships mindfully. So he's also a psychologist, so he understands both the spiritual and the psychological aspects of our being. And he said everybody in this world needs 5 things, and he calls them the 5 A's: attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. Those are the 5 things. Now, we've been speaking about this month, and we spoke mostly about attention and acceptance, and I'm going to summarize all of them this week: appreciation, affection, and allowing. So when David Rico talks about being in relationships mindfully, I went ahead and looked up in Wikipedia, and the Buddhist definition of mindfulness is the intentional, accepting, and non-judgmental focus of one's attention on the emotions, thoughts, and sensations occurring in the present moment. And that can be recognized in every moment. So it's being mindful. Now, that doesn't mean that just because I'm being mindful, I'm not feeling the emotions of anger. I'm not feeling the emotions of upset. It means I'm being present to what's going on in my body, and then I'm able to communicate and be level-headed whenever I'm communicating. Anger isn't a bad thing. It just is something that recognizes that something needs to shift and change. And being mindful of that gives us an opportunity to have clear communications. So I'm going to talk about attention. Attention is being in the present moment. It means Rico says the attention is the consciousness of the interconnectedness of all things, which means when you're in the grocery line and you have a checker in front of you, you pay attention to them. You recognize who they are and you call them by name. Now, interestingly enough, I was in Las Vegas, and I was going to, we were gonna go leave and go get the car, and we actually parked the car. We had no idea, but in Las Vegas, a hotel is like, a city block or like a mile square, and where we parked the car in the parking garage was like a mile walk, and you have to walk through this thing called the Miracle Mile, and it's a bunch of shops in order to get to the parking lot. So we were walking through the shops, and I'm in a hurry because we're going to go to the airport, right? So I'm like walking really quick, and some guy was a vendor, and he said, "Hey, you want to clean your glasses? You want to get your glasses clean?" And I just like walked on by, I was just like, I'm on a mission. And then he said behind me, I could hear him say, "What, am I invisible today? What's going on?" And I kept walking. Now, the thing is, the Miracle Mile is in a circle, and I walked all the way around that circle, and I didn't find the parking garage. So then I had to walk back the other way, right? And there he is again, asking me if he wants to have my glasses clean. And so I stopped, and I said, "You know what? I really appreciate you asking. And I'm in a hurry right now, so I really can't accept. But thank you." And then I continued on. And I felt much better about this situation because on one hand, I had lowered the vibration by my choices. And on the other hand, I had raised the vibration by my choices. It was still the same choice. I still knew what I wanted. I didn't want to get my glasses clean. because I would have bought his thing anyway. So, but I knew what I wanted, and I had a choice in the matter. And one way I chose one thing, and the other way I chose the other thing. But I felt much better about my other choice. So that's paying attention. The second thing is acceptance. That's acceptance of ourselves and others just the way we are. And I invite you to think about these questions. How am I doing accepting others in our relationships and our friendships? Or does my expectation of how and who they should be cause me to judge them? Does judging them get in the way of creating mindful and healthy relationships? We all want people to be a certain way, and the only way they are is the way they are. And so the only thing that we can do to make the situation better is to accept them for who they are, and we get the opportunity to change how we approach them. It's just a shift in perspective. I looked up a Buddhist story told by the Venerable Master Sing Yun. And there was an old lady, and she cried all the time. All the time she was crying. She was in this village. And she had an elder daughter, and the elder daughter was married to a husband who sold umbrellas. And she had a younger daughter, and the younger daughter was married to a man who sold noodles. And every day she would cry because when it was a sunny day, she thought about her daughter whose husband sold umbrellas, and she thought, oh my God, they're going to go out of business. This is so awful. I can't believe this terrible, terrible thing. And then on rainy days, she thought about the noodle house and how you need the noodles to dry. And she was so upset and sad because she knew that they'd go out of business because it was too wet for the noodles to dry. And so everybody in the village just called her the crying lady because she was so sad all the time. Every day she would cry, cry, cry. And then one day she ran into a monk. And the monk said, "Oh, well, I can make you happy. This is easy, no problem at all." And she said, "Oh, you can make me happy? Oh, I really want to be happy." And he said, "Well, this is really an easy solution. Well, with your daughter who's selling the umbrellas, when it's raining, think about that daughter instead of the other daughter. And then whenever it's sunny, think about the daughter with the noodle house and all of the amazing noodles that you're going to be able to dry. And they're just going to be so successful in what they're doing." And the lady was like, "Oh, I can't believe it." And every day she realized how happy she was at the successful of her daughter when it was raining and all those umbrellas they would sell. And then how happy she was on those sunny days and all the noodles they would sell. And the same thing was happening, but it was just a shift in perspective. That's how life is. Everywhere we go, the same thing is happening, but it's how we come at it, how we choose to come at it. It also helps if you declare in advance that you want to have a really good day. You want to have an extraordinary experience. Divine and I were flying on the airplane going to Las Vegas, and on the airplane it was one of those Southwest flights that you've seen on YouTube where the spokesman is a comedian. He was so funny. And by the end of the flight, I mean, we were laughing. He even got Divine to sing, what was it? It was like the national anthem or something. I don't remember. It was he got her to sing, and we were just laughing all the way there. And then we get there, and I realized you don't understand how much luggage I take. I was a Girl Scout. I come prepared, right, for everything in the entire universe. So I have like 4 or 5 bags, and Divine does too. And then I have my parents too, who have a few bags of their own. So we're going over to the rental facility for the rental car, and I did get a full-size car because I know how much luggage I have. And we're looking at the car, and we're looking at all of our luggage, like the cars that are the full-size cars, and we're like, oh. And I talked to the lady, oh, maybe I need an upgrade to fit all my luggage. And she's like, oh, it's only $10 a day. It's no problem. And I thought, no, I can make it work. No, I'm good at this. And so we go down and we're waiting again for the rental car. And it takes about 20 minutes. And we're having a good time. We're enjoying ourselves. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I should just check to see what's going on. And I go up to the counter, and the lady said, well, I'm sorry it's taken so long. Would you like a free upgrade? Why, yes, I would. I need a free upgrade. And then as soon as we pulled into the casino, and we were like, oh, this is great. And we didn't realize that it was a mile to carry your luggage, like right to down to the reception desk, going through the Miracle Mile. So anyway, I sent my parents on their way walking the mile with their luggage, and there was a woman who needed her car jumped. And so Divine and I went ahead and we helped her jump her car. And then as we were leaving, a security car drove, a little security golf cart, I should say, drove by, and he had seen us give this lady a jump. And he said, well, would you like me to drive you to the reception desk? And so he had a little pallet where he could stack all of our luggage on top of it. And so as we got down there, we just like pulled in right in time. It was amazing. We had such an extraordinary time. And it was interesting because one of the people at the conferences, he was a speaker. He was one of the speakers at the conference. He said that when he got up to check in at the hotel, it was at Planet Hollywood, he said, the reservation agent said, oh, are you at the spiritual conference? And he said, why, yes, I am. And they said, interestingly enough, we've been taking bets on who in the line is with the spiritual conference and who is not. With 100% accuracy, we've been able to guess who is with the conference and who is not. Yes. And you know why that is? Because of what we represent in the world, how we bring ourselves to the world, and because we choose to be the light. We choose to represent the light, the joy of the world. Now, we could be like everybody else, and we could be complaining in line because it's a long line, or we could be enjoying our time that we're spending with each other. It's all a choice. It's all a choice. And we practice these 5 A's. We give people attention. We accept others exactly how they are. And we know that appreciation is so important. Appreciation. So that's the 3rd A. And we appreciate people who are in front of us. I was finishing up the book yesterday, wanting to make sure I had the right and perfect things to say to you. And there's some great stuff in here, by the way, if you haven't bought the book. This is really good stuff. And so I'm outside on my patio, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. And Gina's reading her book next to me. I'm like, oh, wow, blah, blah, blah. And she's in the middle of her book, right? And so she closes her book, and she says, tell me. And so I read her the things that are really interesting to me, and she says, oh, that's really wonderful. I'm like, oh, thank you. I really wanted to tell you about that. And so then I close the book. She closed the book, and then she gets her book, and she starts reading. And oh, my God, this is so great. Oh, I love this. And so she closes her book, and she listens to me. And then I'm done, and she starts reading her book again. And it occurred to me, here I'm reading about appreciation. It occurred to me how nice it was to just have that designated attention when I was really excited about something. That she stopped what she did and she listened to everything that I had to say, and then she continued on. And I thought, I really appreciate that. So I told her how grateful I am and how much I appreciate that. And it's not the big things in life that make the difference, it's the little things that really make the difference. And so I knew that this is the way to be in life. Appreciation. Find little things to appreciate people for. It makes a big difference. The 4th thing is affection. Now, affection is really important to have healthy relationships where you can touch and communicate and be with each other. And it can also be expressed through playfulness, kind words, and thoughtful actions. Affection. Show your affection for each other. Rico said, affection means the love we feel for others and for the universe. So the question is, Can I love people even when I don't like or understand them? And can I receive love the same way? You know you're not displaying affection when you're acting selfishly or abusively. So anytime you feel yourself kind of close up, or you're angry and you're displaying things in more violent manner, that's when you know you're not practicing affection. The fifth thing is allowing life and love just to be all they are, with the ecstasy, with the ache, without trying to control things or efforting things. So allowing somebody to be themselves, giving them the freedom to do things their own way. I think this is the hardest thing with parents. You know, kids really want to do the thing their way. And parents have had some experience doing it the way that doesn't work. And they really want their kids not to do it the way that doesn't work, because they want their kids to be happy and joyful all the time. And so as a parent, you get the opportunity to let your kids do it the way that doesn't always work, just so they can find out. Feel the pain, feel the sadness, feel the sorrow. And sometimes it goes with our best friends. Sometimes it goes with our parents. Sometimes it goes with our community, where we get the opportunity to let people have the freedom to do exactly what they feel like is the right thing, and yet at the same time knowing and supporting them in their highest and greatest truth. That is allowing. Rico says allowing means that we grant to others and protect it in ourselves the right to live freely and without outside control. A good monitor for each and every one of us is the question, is what I'm doing harming somebody? Or is what I'm doing uplifting somebody? Everybody has absolute freedom in our life. And the question is, if we can answer yes, if what I'm doing is uplifting somebody, then you know that you are enacting in the form of freedom. And if what you're doing or saying is harming somebody, then you know that you're acting in a way that is not in freedom, that you're actually creating a prison for that other person and for yourself. So that's the true form of freedom, is being free to express yourself, and also in a way that isn't harmful to others. And that's a good monitoring. So I invite you to consider, what is it that you can do this week that is one of the 5 A's? Are you willing to pay attention to the person that's in front of you? Are you willing to accept people just the way they are, knowing that they can be how they want to be, and we can accept them even if they are not acting or behaving nicely? But that doesn't give them permission to abuse us. We need to accept the fact that sometimes we need to be in a different relationship. And the third thing is appreciation. Would you be willing to appreciate the little things of people? Would you be willing to step in and create the vibration, uplift the vibration of those around you? Show affection to those that you love and those maybe you don't even know, through kind words and thoughtful actions. And allow life to flow as it is. It's kind of like being a leaf on a river. It's going to flow and you're going to go with it. And there's nothing you can do about it, so you might as well allow it to be. Act as if you chose what's in front of you. Act as if you chose it. Because if you do, then we can be the ones that are the uplifters of the world. We can be that aspect of the divine that shows its face through beauty, through love, through joy, and through harmony. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. Sometimes it's harder to be the one to step into the light, to be the light, than it is the one to be on the little lower vibrational levels. So I invite you to think about that this week, and I challenge you to do at least one thing that's out of your comfort zone that's super nice for somebody else. Will you take it on? Yes. Will you take it on? Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really love each and every one of you. You are my heart. You are my soul. You are my community, and I so am grateful for you. Let's pray.